Yeah.
Hello, everybody. We were just looking at Victorian words.
Mm.
Uh,
All of the various different classes you can take
right.
when
As
you're
someone
playing
who works in a house.
Dungeons and Households.
Yeah, next time on Dungeons and Households, or Dungeons and Humans and Households. That's what it is.
Humans.
It's
Households. I like that.
Well,
You too can
would it be-
play a house steward.
Would it be like gentry and something? Gentry and
I don't have another good G word. How is everyone today?
Good.
Yeah?
Good.
Nice.
Glad I'm not Victorian.
Fair enough.
Glad you're not a Victorian. Yeah, I think I would not want to be like a chambermaid. I don't want to play that role. No.
Level 4 chambermaid. All right.
You know, if you had prestidigitation, I mean, if I had prestidigitation, I would just clean my house like I already cleaned my house on my own, but it'd be faster.
You'd be burned at the stake as a witch. I mean, if I'm thinking around the same
It'd be
time.
worth it.
Did they actually
You
burn
just
people
have
as
to
witches
be
then?
extra sneaky. You gotta be extra sneaky and play the game. If you play the game, nobody just be sneaky about it. No one will know what you're up to.
No.
It's a personal thing.
They'd be like, she is the best chambermaid ever. Like, she gets everything is spotless, and it just gets cleaned so fast. It takes her like 3 rounds. Anyway.
It's like the
Natural talent. Natural talent.
Totally. Welcome to Through the Mist, episode 16. As quick recap, last time you all had just met Alphonse Calvet, who wants you to help him root out some shapeshifters. Not the kind of shapeshifter that he is, but other shapeshifters that are causing problems here in Paridon. You had realized that somebody was following you, and so the group, as stealthily as possible, yet as safely in the light and near guards as you could, you all followed Alphonse, who appears to be some kind of magistrate of Paridon. He lives in King's Quarters, and so you were following him to his small manse, and you had made it just as what looked like maybe a small pack. You'd noticed a couple of shadows against the shadow of night creeping up on you, and you all headed inside. Alphonse alerted his guards. You kind of spent the night winding down, taking a moment. Everyone ate, and then called it a night. You got your first long rest in like 14 episodes, and you wake to find a somewhat brightened sky, shining filtered light through the windows. What is everybody doing?
I'm sick, right? So I'm like real sick.
That's right. You woke up. We ended as you woke up, and everyone realized he looked a little green under the gills. His looked a little pallid. His flesh is cold and clammy. You were definitely not feeling well, dizzy. And I believe Lilith and Lyra had one room, right? And Twiggy and Dizzy had the other?
Yeah.
So Twiggy's the only one who notices this currently.
Okay. Well, Lilith is pretty refreshed. She spent some of the night just gazing to where the moon would be, and feeling just strongly that she just misses being able to see like the change of night and day, but knowing that it's there. So she's ready to head out. She's gonna get Lyra and knock on the door of Twiggy and why am I forgetting her name?
Dizzy.
Twiggy and Dizzy.
I have the same problem because they're both E names. So we have Twiggy
Well, and
and
then Lyra
Dizzy.
and Lilith.
Right.
There's
So whenever
two.
I'm thinking of the two of you, I switch them around, and Lilith and Lyra, I'm like,
Yeah.
ah.
Like, what's going on? But yeah, I'd like to knock on their door and see how they're doing.
Okay.
If they're up already.
Make
I won't be obnoxious.
do me a favor. Make me I need you to do 2 rolls. Do a perception check first, and then if it is high enough, I'll have you do another roll. Okay, yeah. Go ahead and do an insight check as well. I will say during the night, you slept pretty soundly, but every so often you would hear Lyra cry out in her sleep or talking. It was really, you couldn't understand what they were saying or anything, but every so often you'd glance over, and you didn't feel like it was such an issue as to wake her, but when you're like, come on, get up, and she's like puts the pillow over her head and is just like, no, I'm not getting up yet, you go on, I'll catch up. You're like, yeah, I should probably let her sleep a little bit longer.
All right.
You get the feeling she
Alright.
was having some pretty rough dreams. And I will say a couple of the things reminded you of the strange house that you all were taken to after you were misted away from the carnival.
Okay. Well, I'll leave her for a little bit with the intention to come back and
Okay.
maybe bring her some food or just check on her again. But I'm gonna let her sleep, and I myself will just go knock on the door very quietly, for Dizzy and Twiggy and see if they're up.
While this has been happening, Twiggy, do you have any reaction to Dizzy's current state?
Have I seen Twiggy sick before? In our travels?
I don't feel like you've seen Dizzy sick quite like this. Dizzy, do you often get hangovers or?
Oh no. No.
Okay. Then
That's
yeah.
it's usually me, right?
Yeah.
I'm usually the one getting the hangovers.
Yeah. Then this is really the first time that Dizzy's ever looked quite this rough.
Probably food poisoning. Probably. I mean, I'm just gonna roll over on my pillow, because it is the first time we've slept in quite some time, and it's a really fancy pillow. It's probably food sickness. Like, he's not squirting blood out of his eyes or anything like that, right?
No.
Does it look bad? Or, I mean, it's kind of hard to tell with, like, these mortal bodies.
Right.
I mean, it's either hangover or it's not. Like, those are the only 2 real afflictions that exist.
Completely.
Only 2 that exist. Yeah, so, I mean, does it look like he's dying? Or just had some bad cheese?
So he's definitely we'll go with moist looking, a little sweaty, clammy. His skin tone has shifted to be a little greener than like that kind of dark drow, kind of, I feel like they're dark purplish. Or so like he definitely looks unwell. It's pretty obvious.
So, like, there's even kind of a skin tone sort of
Yeah.
shift. Oh my god, he's been cursed. This is a magic curse. Do I do something about that?
While Twiggy is gazing upon you from the nice pillow, Dizzy, what are you doing?
I'm just gonna moan and groan and just, I don't feel so well.
Yeah.
I think it might have been the food that we ate at the other place we were.
Why don't you, if you have medicine, do medicine. Otherwise, do a perception check.
Who? Me?
No, Dizzy. Sorry.
Okay. About to say
Yeah,
medicine.
it can.
You did pretty much what you just said. Is how you feel.
Okay.
Mhm.
There's a knock upon your door.
Hello. Good morning.
You gonna get that? I'll get it. I'll get it.
Yeah, I'm not really feeling up to it right now. I'm just gonna kind of lay in bed for a bit.
Wait a minute, where's that bell? Like, surely someone will open the door.
The bells are outside, on like little stands.
Oh, God! Like, next time they're gonna put a bell in this room, that'll make this all so much easier. This bell is so nice. Yeah, I'll open the door.
And they're standing next to the small pedestal that has the pillow that has the bell upon it is Lilith.
Oh, so don't freak out, but Dizzy's cursed. Probably a fake curse. It's usually how it works. Probably a hag. Probably a hag.
I hate it when hags are around. They're just unpleasant. They're just super unpleasant.
I don't have to be.
Can
Sometimes
I
they're quite
can I
nice.
see him? Can I see how he's doing?
Yeah. So as the door opens, like Dizzy's bed is directly across from the door, and so have you laid back down? You'd sat up at the end of last game. Did you lay back down, Dizzy?
I did.
So Dizzy's laying on the bed. Even from here, you can see that he definitely is not doing well.
All right. I'd like to do a medicine check.
Sure. Are you going into the room?
Have I seen? Yeah, I'm going in the room, and have I seen this before? Do I know what this is?
Let's see.
I'm gonna
Let's
ask
see what
him
your medicine check reveals.
questions. Like put my hand on his forehead and like, are you okay? Is it your stomach? Have you stewed out either end? Have
Right.
you just ask all the questions.
Have you had your
to
booster
try and
shot? Ooh.
get your booster?
5. With that amazing roll, it could be a curse, based on what Twiggy said. It could also be some kind of a disease.
Sure.
You haven't seen anything that's made Dizzy look this way before. As far as like just generally people getting sick and sweaty and kind of clammy. Yeah, there are diseases out there like colds and such that can affect Dizzy. So far you don't feel hungry right now, but so far you haven't had any ejections from either end.
Mm-hmm. I will relay that information.
Okay.
Darn the roll. Darn that roll.
What's that?
Darn that roll.
Right. Depending on if you've prepared your spells for anything yet this morning, there's potential that you could do something depending on what Lilith believes it is.
Yeah. It'd be nice if Lilith believed a little more what it actually was based on that.
A little more for sure.
Super awesome, informative roll.
Well, it's definitely a curse. 100%. 100% definitely a curse. That's usually how it all works. That's usually what happens is you cross the Fae, there's a curse, and, there's no way you can go about reversing that. Unless, of course, you figure out what it is that you were supposed to do in the first place, or the thing that that has been, like, put as, like, the one singular thing that's probably super impossible to figure out that you have to do, where something has to be done to you in order for the curse to be lifted, like dance with 3 trees in the thunderstorm, and that would totally do it. But probably not the sin that you've committed, Dizzy. It's probably something like didn't like the fish enough.
So just to
'Cause it's the
verify, you're level 4, correct?
Yes.
So you know that right now, if it is a curse, there is nothing that you can do about it. If it's a disease, however, there are certain chants that you can use that you'll need to prepare one for your daily spells. Lesser Restoration would be the spell. So if you prepare that for today and spend that spell slot, you could find out whether it's a disease.
You know what? Let's figure this out. I'm going to think about it and prepare, but I need to go to the kitchens to find food for everybody.
Okay.
I'm going to bring food and water up to Twiggy and Dizzy and bring some food and water up to Lyra.
Okay.
Then I'm going to prepare this. Use that as my time to do it.
Gotcha. Perfect. So you head downstairs to the kitchen. The people working are kind of surprised to see you come in, and they're like, "Oh, we could have had things brought up to you. Are you in need of breakfast?"
Yes, but kind of a special request, just because one of our party members isn't feeling so well,
Oh,
and
no.
the other one, she's not feeling well, but it's mostly due to lack of sleep or just a bad night's sleep.
Have they
So I
had
was
their
hoping we could
boosters?
get some. Well, I'm not actually sure. I should talk to Dizzy about that, because it's super important. I mean, you at least have to have your 2 boosters, maybe a 3rd.
Right?
Yeah. But how about some broth? Could I have some broth? And then my other companion, he loves everything tasty. So maybe something a little sweet, maybe not so breakfasty.
So we have biscuits with honey, and some sliced ham. We do have broths. Do you want it warmed up or just room temperature?
Just room temperature, I think.
And the fellow you're talking to turns and kind of motions, and one of the other people heads over to what looks like a pantry as they open the door, and you just see like some jars that have liquids in them, and he pulls one down and goes over and plops it in, like dumps it into a pan and starts warming it up. Would you like us to bring these up to you when they're done, or?
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Okay.
I'll be in my room, and everybody else is, going to be around theirs. One of the broths goes to me, and the other 2 get the rest of it.
Fantastic.
And thank you.
All right, so as you head out, you notice that some of the people, the service, are kind of walking around dusting and stuff, but the household is pretty quiet. There's not a whole bunch of hustle and bustle going on. You see no sign of Alphonse currently, and you haven't seen Frederic yet either. You head back up the stairs to your chambers, and are you going to prepare your spells for the day?
Yes.
All right. Dizzy, you're just hanging out, feeling like crap.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to do, or just kind of hang out in bed until maybe Lilith has some kind of answer for you?
I'm just gonna hang out in bed.
Sounds good. And Twiggy, anything that you're doing while you're
I'm back
waiting?
on the pillow,
Okay.
leaning back on the pillow, and listing off all the various different creatures that are capable of cursing, and the different types of curses that there are, and the generally well known and not so well known, like the secret ways of breaking curses, and just there's probably just like word salad just coming out of his mouth about curses and more curses, cursing creatures, and all the like.
Dizzy, since you've traveled with Twiggy before, you're pretty good at just tuning out. It's almost like white noise at this point. Whenever Twiggy goes off on these tirades, and so it's really up to you if you want to lay in here and listen to it, or you can try and find a different place to lay down if you feel like it's too much.
I'll stay and listen.
Okay. It might end up being useful. There are a lot of creatures that Twiggy is listing off. There was the hags. There are various spirits, Some of the more powerful Fey Lords are really big into curses, and if you've drawn their ire, well, you might as well just die now. And, it just goes on and on. Lilith, you go into your room. Lyra hasn't moved. The pillow is still over her head, and she's like just kind of shoved into the corner that the bed makes with the wall. You spend your time preparing your spells for the day, communing with your deity. Anything else you wanted to do while you're in there?
I think that's it.
Okay. It doesn't take them long to bring up the breakfast, because they're essentially warming up broth for everyone, and then the biscuits and sliced meat are already prepared. So they come up, and you hear a knock on the door. Both rooms hear this. Lilith, what do you do?
I'll take the broth and kind of try and wake Lyra a little bit, just to let her know that there's broth there
No.
for her.
I don't want it.
I'll leave it next to her and let her know that I'm going to a room over to
Okay.
see how everybody else is doing.
So there's a knock on your door, Dizzy and Twiggy.
Oh my god, where's that bell? Ah! Hold on. This is my curse. This is the curse that we are suffering under right now. There's no bell in this room. Alright, I'm gonna open the door. Get the fucking bell.
When you open the door, there's a young man kind of balancing this decent-sized tray that has plates that are covered with biscuits. There's a large dish of honey with one of those honey. It's not a spoon, but you know what I mean. Like the little honey grabber.
Little
There's
honey
got
wand. The
honey
little ribs in
wand.
it and stuff.
I like
yeah,
it.
Yeah, yeah.
And you see like some sliced meats, probably ham from the smell of it. And then there's a couple glasses of water and a couple glasses of what looks like a steaming dark liquid, kind of smells like chicken.
Weird. Well, I mean, like honey. I'm just gonna take the honey. Yeah. Yeah.
And shortly thereafter, Lilith steps behind the young man, who's just like patiently holding this tray as Twiggy's like drinking the honey.
I'm gonna take the tray from him and bring it into the room.
Oh, thank you, miss.
Thank you.
If you need anything else, just ring. And he points at the bell.
Thank you, Guy.
Thank you, NPC 00150.
Have a nice day, Guy.
Sorry if I'm breaking immersion today. I'm having a day.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, I'm gonna head in and well, I mean, how far along am I with the lesser restoration? Has it been long enough?
Yeah. It doesn't take you long to memorize your
Okay.
spells for the day.
Well, I'm gonna talk to Twiggy or talk to Dizzy a little bit more, and place my hands on him and kind of cast and and try and figure out what's wrong with him, but
Yeah.
also heal. And how do you want to?
So
And give him some of the soup or some of the broth too.
Sure. So you start off by giving some of the broth, and Dizzy, you can't really taste it. It's like drinking. You feel the texture, you feel the liquid, but there's not really like a taste that makes it pleasant or anything. So you kind of drink some of that, and while that's going on, Lois is muttering some words and kind of waves her hand over you a couple of times, puts her hand on your forehead. And throughout this process, you do start to feel better. the clamminess of your skin fades away. You're not sweating any longer. You still feel like damp from sweating so much all night. But it fades away, and you feel hungry. And the next time you have some of the broth, it's very like salty chicken broth.
Okay.
Twiggy, are you through that bowl of honey yet?
I mean, of what was able to come out. I think I'm gonna get into the bowl now and just kind of have a one of those biscuit things.
Yeah.
Next to me. Yeah, like propped up next to me, and just gonna grab it and just smear it in there and eat. Yeah.
So
yeah, full on
both of you,
hummingbird.
both of you catch some glances of Twiggy, like just sticky fur. His one wing is like, kind of held back. The other one has honey that's like kind of stuck it. You know how like the wings collapse. His wing is kind of stuck together, and he's just covered. His face is just covered with sticky goo and crumbs. The crumbs are like stuck there by the honey, and he just has no sense of what's going on here. It's just more about putting all this inside his face.
So good.
But there are biscuits. There are slices of ham for the two of you if you're hungry.
Lilith is gonna pass, but nobody's gonna notice. She's just gonna like smile and kind of laugh at Twiggy and keep asking Dizzy how they feel.
Okay.
How do you feel? Do you need some more broth? Do you need different food? And see if there's a need for her.
And
to run to the
Dizzy,
kitchen.
as you're sitting there and you kind of like look at your hands and everything, and you notice that as that like shift in the shade of your skin goes away, you're actually a little swollen, like there was something under your skin, and every so often you do notice like a little squiggle, and then it just fades away. The magic seems to have removed whatever it was that caused it, but it's almost like something was under your skin.
Yeah, don't like that. I could probably go for some more broth.
Okay. Yeah, there's another glass over there that's full of it. It's actually probably be like a tankard that you can see steam rising out of. So feel free.
I will do that.
Does everyone just partake of breakfast together except for Lyra, who is sacked out? After a while, did you leave the door open?
No.
Okay.
No.
After a while, there's a knock on the door.
Hello, who's there?
It cracks open, and Frederic pokes his head in. When you're ready, Master Calvé would like you to meet him in his study downstairs.
Okay, thank you. And then I'm gonna close the door
Oh, okay.
on him.
There's like a hesitation, and then you hear footsteps go back and down the stairs.
Okay. All right. I'd like to ask everybody how they're feeling about this place. I mean, do we feel that this is a safe space for us, or do we feel that this is not a safe space for us?
Well, I mean, it's going to have to be a safe space because I've cursed them. So, I mean, if they want to break the curse, then they're going to have to deal with, with making sure that we're doing okay. I mean, that's how it works. Those are the rules.
We're just gonna assume that this is a safe space. I'll go down and see what they have to say.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought we were going to have a fickle fate moment for a second there.
Uh-oh.
But she decided to not bark. All right, so Dizzy, how you feeling?
I feel better, and I am gonna get out of bed and just kind of walk around the room.
Okay. Do you have interest in going with Lilith down to meet with Alphonse, or...
Yeah, I'll go with Lilith.
Okay. Twiggy, what are you thinking?
I mean, yeah, I'll kind of stickily roll out of the bowl. And I mean, I'm sure my wings aren't working quite appropriately, so I'll just kind of grab something and slide down, the whatever.
Yeah, you
piece
could.
of furniture
There's just
I'm
a
on.
glop of honey on your wing, so if you just kind of pull it around and lick that off, it'll be fine.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah, I mean, it's the food that keeps giving. So good.
So once you get that clean, your wing, it's still a little sticky, but you manage to. You're able to fly at this point.
Perfect.
And when everyone's ready, you head downstairs.
Yeah, I think I'm just gonna peek in and tell Lyra what we're doing, where we're going, and then, I hope you feel better. Don't forget the broth.
When you peek in, you notice that the broth is actually it's moved. The tankard of it, and Lyra just kind of shifts back to where she was as quickly as possible to make it look like she hasn't moved. Oh, okay.
All right. Feel better. Close the door.
As you head downstairs, you see Frederic kind of speaking with some of the other servants, and you get the idea they're discussing what needs to be done for the day. You do catch, the three of you would hear, one of them is giving a report as far as the guards having seen the shadows circling the manor and the grounds that it sits on, up until about an hour before sunrise, and then they disappeared. Once he sees you, Frederic is like, "Oh, are you ready to speak with Master Cave?"
Yeah. I do have a question. Have you, with those shadows, because I heard you guys talking, have you defeated them before? Have you actually killed one, and how do you do that?
Oh, we're actually not sure what they were, other than there were beings that were staying just far enough out of the light as to not be recognizable.
Okay, thank you.
They never did. You're welcome. From our reports, none of them tried to break the. None of them tried to enter the grounds.
Okay.
He says
that's good.
a few more quick orders to the other servants, and then leads you across the hall into a smaller, across the entryway into a small hall that leads down, and there's a door on the right that he opens, and inside is we'll call it a good-sized study, not enormously large, but it's definitely large enough for the several bookshelves and the walls that are just covered with books. There's a large writing desk in the middle, and there are some candles lit throughout the area. You see Alphonse as he is moving about, picking books out of stacks and off his shelves. He looks over at all of you. "Oh, welcome. Come in. Have a seat. I'm sorry. If you just want to take the stack of books off of that chair, and I'll have Frederic bring another in for you. Frederic, if you could fetch a chair. Oh, Master Fairy, do you need something to sit on?"
I mean, I'll just sit on the desk.
Tuff it, please.
What's that?
Tuff it.
Do you sit on the desk now?
Oh yeah. Just float. I just kind of stickily float over there. And
as you land,
lean
and
back,
there's some loose papers. They just stick to your feet, and then as you kind of do the thing where you're trying to just step off of one. You know, you're just kind of moving them around across. I'll have Frederic bring a pillow worth your station.
Ah, about time. Yes. You see? This is why you curse the place first, and then they figure it out.
Make a history check for me.
History. Totally my strong suit. 100%. I know pretty much everything there is to know about history.
Amazing.
Wow.
So when Alphonse revealed his true face to you, you couldn't place it, but the more he talks and the familiarity that he has with Fey customs, he's definitely more up on what he should be saying to you than or what you feel he should be saying to you than a lot of these other humans and elves and stuff. Pfft.
Yeah, they don't even know.
They don't even know.
The elves should be particularly upset, that they've lost their ways and customs. Yeah, they talk about thousands of years, but what's that? Time.
Right? It's a construct.
Yeah. None of that. There's none of that.
Dizzy, what are you up to?
Just kind of soaking in the surroundings.
Okay.
Listening.
Do you want to take the chair that has the books on it, or are you going to stay standing until the other chair arrives? At which point you could still stay standing, but...
I'll wait for the other chair.
Okay. And Lilith, are you going to move the books off the other chair? Thumbs up for yes, thumbs down for no.
Yeah.
Oh, I can hear you.
I'll
Yeah.
move the.
Yeah.
I'll move the book.
You go over and you pick up. It's like a stack of 5 books, and you look around, and there's just more stacks of books, and so you just set it on top of 2 stacks, so it just kind of holds the 2 together rather than making it more unstable. And
All right.
you sit down. Shortly thereafter, Frederic and another. I feel like you met a young woman last night. You didn't get her name, but she comes carrying the pillow in, and he's carrying the chair. He looks around and is just like, ugh, and he sets it out in the hall, and then pushes some stacks of books off to the side, brings it in and sets it down. Meanwhile, she walks over and helps Twiggy to pull the papers off. She also lays down a slight, a damp rag. It's Twiggy. You can feel it's quite warm even from here.
I love it.
And she smiles and lays the pillow down and leaves. And then shortly thereafter, Frederic is done arranging the chair. He heads out, closes the door behind him. During all of this, Alphonse has been walking between shelves, collecting books, putting some back, muttering to himself. And then after a short while, he looks over. Oh, right. Okay. And he comes over and he sets all of the books down, and he looks at the pillow with Twiggy on it, and he smiles. It's kind of an awkward smile. And he moves some books out of the way to put other books down. Twiggy, you can tell he was ready to put books down where your pillow is, but obviously he can't move your pillow because that would be rude.
So rude.
And he takes a fairly large and decrepit looking tome, and he sits it down and very carefully opens it up and begins leafing through. And Twiggy, sitting on the desk, you can see there are a lot of hand-drawn images of various creatures. Many of them are pretty natural, so deer, some of the fish, and you get the idea that it's creatures you'd expect to find in the region. But every so often something a little more supernatural comes up. There's a couple mentions of ghosts, and he opens one. He opens the. He flips a page, and you see a drawing of what looks like some kind of canine, although its head is. It kind of reminds you of you. Like it's kind of foxish.
But it's lacking fabulous wings and
Absolutely.
unnatural colors.
Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah, and it's actually just like kind of it's an ink drawing. There's no coloring to it. You could do a nature check.
sure. Does it have wings?
It does not have wings.
Nature.
And the head's not quite right to be a fox. It just reminds you, it's much more like yours than a dog's.
Weird.
Yeah, you're not really sure what it is. But he opens it to that page and like puts his hand down to flatten the book out for a moment. Dizzy, what are you doing?
I'm actually kind of curious about, I guess, the critters that we've been that we haven't seen. So I want to question and ask, like, why there's, I guess, bad blood between this faction and their faction.
Sure. And while this is going on, Lilith, are you doing anything?
To just read some of the titles of the books. I want to
Sure.
see what they've got and just take note of what's there. Medicine.
Just kind of
spells,
yeah,
I don't-
just kind of looking around. It's like really eclectic. There's some books on botany. There's some biology books, various bestiaries of animals in this region and beyond. A couple of the titles you can't read. There are books on like finance. What would be the right word? Essentially, like how to be a socialite. There are various books on the history of the area. It just kind of runs this really random, eclectic gamut of subjects. If there's anything in particular that you're looking for, what you do notice is there aren't any on magic.
Okay, I'd like to pick the one up on history of where we were, where we are, and read up on the history of the town.
Okay.
While we're just kind of sitting there hanging out.
Okay. So Lilith finds a tome, cracks it open, starts reading, while Dizzy's asking what's going on with this other faction. And it's about that time that he comes to that page, and he gestures Dizzy over. And he points to the creature, and there's like this scrawl. I don't think you can read it. Dizzy, what were your languages?
Common, Elvish, and Sylvan.
Okay. You actually can read it. So you get, I think Twiggy also reads Sylvan, correct?
Yep.
All right, so
The language of the people.
right? The two of you notice that it's written in Sylvan, and the header of this page that he's looking at says it's kind of weird. It translates to jackal were, like WER, but one word, which is kind of strange. You've heard of like werewolves, whereas this is flipped. So that's a little strange. And he begins to talk about how these creatures once ran free in the city, and his own people, and they actually had no qualms with one another. But over time, particularly as after the miss arrived, but prior to the calamity, the jackal wares became more territorial, and after they kind of did some claiming of territories, they started pushing out, trying to claim more territories, and being very, we'll say, chaotic with their actions as far as the people of the city go. Like, they would. It was found that they were responsible for several deaths, and just kind of overall, they were causing problems for shapeshifters because no one could tell the difference between them and Alphonse's own people.
Okay.
It kind of came to a head when he mentioned this to you last night, but a group of people not unlike yourselves, adventurers who were brought here by the mists and then disappeared afterwards, had actually, before his time this happened, but he had been told that they had found a way to trap the jackal wares in this strange prison. It's kind of a space out of space, not really a different realm, but almost like a pocket dimension. And nothing had been heard from them since. There was an artifact that held them there, and Alphonse recently found rumor that artifact is now missing. And shortly thereafter, these jackal wares have been more and more frequent in their appearances. So it appears that their prison has been opened, and they are once again causing issues.
And I take it there's no way for them to coexist.
Not if they don't stop with their behaviors that has caused so many issues. So, like, killing people tends to be bad, and they make it.
Oh yeah.
They make it pretty apparent that a shapeshifter is responsible. And when the townsfolk found out about my kind to begin with, there was enough of a kerfuffle. But we managed to, explain to them that we aren't here to harm them. We're just living like they are. And, we wear our chosen faces. And if anything, if we have any kind of, what is the word? Come on, Jeremy. If we have any kind of issues, they're often with others of our own kind. We do have factions within our own faction that we will often compete against one another. Usually good-naturedly, but it can get a little heated. But as far as, killing the humans or even other shapeshifters, we really do try to steer clear of that.
Right. Well, maybe we could talk to the leader of the other group, and if they don't agree to our terms, we can just kill the leader, and then the rest will fall in.
That is definitely a possibility. He looks around for some more books, finds one. It looks like a history book of the area, and opens it up, and you notice that there's a lot of mention. Again, this one's written in Sylvan. There's a lot of mention of these jackal wares and things that they've done or that's been attributed to them. As far as murders throughout Paridon, there's been some large fires that have happened. And actually, Lilith, you are reading currently about a large fire that destroyed a good chunk of the city a couple hundred years ago, and they ended up rebuilding those sections using stone and clay and stuff like that, as opposed like clay brick and such, instead of the wood housing that was there at the time. So you're both kind of reading similar things at the same time. And he comes to a point where Dizzy kind of peering over, and Twiggy, if you're watching, he's reading this as well, so if you don't want to read along with him, you get the gist of it. A small group of people arrived through the mists, and they sought out a way to trap these jackal wares. And he starts skimming through. And he finds one person that's named Fazil. I believe this person was the leader at the time. Now, I'm not that well versed in the biology or mortality, the mortality of these creatures. If Fazil's still alive, or even if the pocket dimension they were trapped in could have prolonged their years, it could be that Fazil is still the one that is leading them. If not, generations may have passed in there, and I have no idea who may be in charge, but perhaps the best thing would be to try and track down this Fazil first.
Yeah, I think so. And I've noticed that they haven't attacked us yet, so maybe that means they're weaker than we are.
It may well be. I have heard reports that not many have been seen together. Oh no! Who did we lose? We lost Lilith.
Oh no!
Oh no! Welcome back, maybe? We'll give her a moment to rejoin. Hello!
Hello!
It seems like maybe their numbers aren't very large, but I have no way to confirm how many of them there are at this point. The other rumor that I've managed to secure some likelihood of is that the object, which is a jawbone, the artifact that kept them trapped, is missing, and I've heard that it might be due to the foul creatures that live beneath the city.
Like birds?
Oh no, much worse than birds.
How can that be possible?
I mean, and then there's like a moment where you see, oh yes, birds. How terrible. I'm sure for one of your stature that birds are daily trouble for you.
That's true. It is. It is the worst. You get it. You understand. Man, where have you been all of this time?
Yeah, Twiggy does not like birds.
That is
They're the worst.
completely understandable. I will have Frederic give you. He gestures to Dizzy and Lilith. Both of you umbrellas that good Sir Twiggy here could rest under, perhaps on your shoulder as you move about the city, so that none of the birds would see him and come down to cause problems.
Excellent.
Sounds good.
So unfortunately, I don't have much more information than that. Other than there are many of the sightings of these creatures, the jackalwares, have been in Blackchapel, although some have also been in King's Quarters, as you saw last night, while even in the industrial section and down by the docks, there have been reports of strange happenings. So I wish I could tell you more.
I wonder if Helvetica knows anything of this.
She may. I know that she... you're speaking of the large school marm, correct?
Yes.
I know that she lives in the Blackchapel region, or neighborhood. So perhaps she has heard things.
Yeah, I guess that is a step in the right direction. We could go visit her after we leave here.
Okay with that.
As far as your going out and trying to find the issues, would you be interested in returning here in the evenings for shelter and food?
That sounds nice to me.
Yes. Although, you may want to ask Twiggy about customs as to not disappoint him.
No, so far it seems like this one gets it. I might spare this town. I don't know. I'm thinking about it.
Alphonse says, I will make sure that Frederic tidies up your rooms, freshens up, and we will have dinner shortly after dusk.
Sounds great.
Well, I thank you for your help with this. Whatever you need, please let me know, and I will do my best to help however I may. I would try to steer clear of the good captain, however, seeing as how he already seems to have an ill opinion of you. Actually, hold on just a moment. He finds a clean piece of, or he finds an empty a piece of paper that hasn't been written on, but then as he realizes it's covered in footprints of honey, he just sets that one aside and then like lifts up some books and finds another piece of paper, writes out essentially a short letter that describes that you are in service to his house and that your actions within the law are condoned by him.
That's very sweet of you.
Yeah, we could definitely use that to kind of keep our noses clean.
The actions within
And
the
I
law.
have a feeling that Lyra's not feeling up to coming with us. Is it okay that she rest here all day with you guys?
Oh, of course. Is something the matter?
I think she'll be fine. I think she just needs some rest.
Understandable. I'll check in on her later and see if she needs anything.
She's also really grumpy, so just maybe like leave food for her and just let her know and then leave.
Yeah, in that case, I'll have Frederic check on her later.
Oh, poor Frederic.
Bring a shield.
Right?
It's good
All
practice.
right. Is there anything that you want to ask him or any other things you feel like you might need?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because we've got food and everything, and I would imagine that they probably don't have like a store of potions or anything like that.
Right. You could ask.
Do you have any potions that may make our journey a bit easier? Maybe some healing potions or something of that sort.
Odd or even?
Even.
You know, I did used to keep a stock. It's been some time since we've used them. Let me check. Hang on just a moment. And he steps out, closes the door, and you hear his footfalls head back towards the main entryway. Is there anything you want to do while he's gone?
Yes.
I'm just gonna wait, but
Okay. Lilith.
Did he at all seem like he was hiding anything or not wanting us to see anything?
Gotcha. Make a insight check.
Because if he
And-
was, whatever it was, I want to see. But if he
Right.
wasn't, then yeah,
It
it's
doesn't
okay.
look like there's anything that is particularly hidden in this room other than by stacks of books. And he seemed pretty open. But that aside, you don't
We're
feel...
good.
Yeah. You do find, as far as reading through the book, a lot of what's in that was from like many decades ago. It talks about there's like a couple mentions of like some droughts, but for the most part, like you get the feeling that the time that book was written, those lands that you walked through to get here were still accessible by the city.
Okay.
You haven't like really seen anything as far as the explanation of that yet, but you definitely get the feeling that this is not ancient history, but pretty far back.
Okay.
So it doesn't take very long. Alphonse comes back in and he has a small pouch. He opens he walks over to the desk and lays the pouch down and unties its this little flap. Inside are 3 like vials, like thin tubes that have corks in them. 2 of them are kind of a dusky red, and as he like pulls one out, holds it up to the candlelight and kind of shakes it, you see there's like flakes that have dried on one side and it kind of swirls around in there. I'm pretty sure these are still okay, and he puts that one back. And then there's another one that looks a little, it's bluish, kind of a darker sky blue, and it has little, looks almost like jellied beads or something that are in it. They're very tiny, and when he lays them down, like they're still kind of settling in, and then he picks it up and shakes it, and they swirl around. And again, there were some like dried flakes on the glass that have now like kind of mixed in. Those 2 should grant you some level of healing should you be injured, and this one, you know, I'm not really sure what this one does.
okay. Well, you know, I think you should give them to Lilith, because Lilith is kind of our medical person on the team. So
Absolutely.
I wouldn't know anything about what these potions do, and I just kind of assumed that Lilith maybe had some training or something to identify these potions.
Yeah.
I know these potions.
So go ahead and make. Do you want to know about all the potions or just the blue one?
Just the blue one.
Okay, yeah, you get the feeling that the red ones are just healing potions.
Okay, so just like standard healing, like
Yeah.
what is it, 1d4?
2d4 plus 4?
Yeah.
Or 2d4 plus 2?
Plus 2. Yeah.
Plus 2.
Okay, well that's not bad unless you roll all ones.
Right. Lilith, make a... Do you have Arcana?
Yeah.
Go ahead and make an Arcana check. Oh, nice. Okay, so you were pretty sure that the one that looks kind of like a boba tea is a potion of gaseous form.
Ooh.
Oh. Okay. Potion of gaseous form. Do I know how to use it?
Drink it.
Okay. Sweet.
You would know that it, for 1 hour, you're under the effect of a gaseous form spell until you end it as a. No concentration is required, but you can end it as a bonus action. You've seen various versions of this, but this one, it's a little more archaic than you're used to seeing, but you're pretty sure that's what it is.
Well, perfect. I put everything in my pouch and I'm ready to go.
Okay. Does anyone else need anything before you head out? All right, then.
Nope.
So he leads you out. You see Frederic is walking up the stairs with another tray of what looks like... there's a mug that's steaming, kind of like the broth was, but then you see two mugs that have kind of a frothiness on top. Reminds you a little bit of ale, and walks down to Lilith's room, knocks, opens the door, goes in, comes out a couple moments later, and Alphonse shows you out the door.
Okay, let's go.
Okay. As you step out, it is definitely brighter out than it was yesterday, but there's still clouds in the sky. The dark smear that's across the sky isn't nearly as bad. You can tell there's a little bit of a breeze, and you can tell that the breeze has helped to kind of blow it away. And your eyes take a moment to adjust from being in the dark room of the study and then coming out into the kind of well-lit halls, but definitely not as bright out as it is outside. And there are a couple of guards outside, and they just are standing at attention.
Yeah.
One glances over
Thank
at
you
you
for your service.
and salutes you back.
That's right. General.
And you can see you head down the pathway that leads out to the main street. There are guards at the outer gate as well. All four look different than the ones you met last night, so there must be some kind of rotation of guards. And as you get out to the main thoroughfare, you definitely notice there are some carriages that are being drawn by horses. You see people walking along in very fine dresses and suits, parasols as opposed to umbrellas, which were waiting for you by the door. So Lilith and Dizzy, you can both add an umbrella to your inventory.
Fantastic.
Right.
All right.
The parasols are more frilly. They're kind of lacy and they look like doilies spread over, it's more for
Lilith is
look.
gonna open hers up.
Yeah, yours as you open it up is more like a cloth and cover. It definitely blocks more sun and more. It would block rain as well. But Twiggy, what's more important to you is it blocks sight from the sky upon you as long as you're under it.
Very important. Very important. Do you know how quickly a seagull can swoop down and steal your fries? Super fast, right? Now,
And-
I am more delicious than a fry, okay?
As
Way
you're
more delicious.
saying that, in the distance you can hear seagulls. Mine.
Oh my god. One day I'll murder all of them.
So where do you head?
I was thinking that we would head to wherever Vetty is.
Yeah.
Okay. So
She's
you
our
head.
one friend.
I mean, Alphonse was very friendly. So as you head out down the thoroughfare, you come to the gates, which are now open. You do pass by the house that's set back a little ways that you had lingered in for a short while last night. Nothing seems different about it. There's no shades drawn or anything. You do catch sight of a patch of glitter that's laying on the ground in the alleyway that hasn't been swept up. And you reach the gate. The guards don't look familiar, and they don't move to stop you or anything as you head out. There is a short... it's not quite a park, but it's more of just an open space with some grass that appears to be just struggling to survive as you head down a small hill, and it leads you towards the road would lead you into the dock district, which you can then veer off into Blackchapel, or you can walk across this grassy area and go directly into Blackchapel. What would you like to do?
I will consult with Lilith.
Okay.
What do you think we should do? Because I am not typically the leading type. I kind of do my own thing.
Just maybe go across the grass just to get there sooner.
That's fair.
Just so we can talk to them.
And I don't think
Let's do
the
that.
jackal wares will show up during the day at least.
Yeah, I think we're okay.
Okay. So as you head across the grass, Dizzy, you can see where you had been like skirting the wall and kind of where you ended up breaking off and going into the Blackchapel area. It's several blocks off to your right as you enter into kind of where that business district meets with Blackchapel. Why don't you all make a survival check for me?
Surviving.
Nice. Also, excellent. Twiggy, you're not quite sure which direction to go, but as Dizzy and Lilith enter into the area, they both are looking around and like, none of this looks familiar, but you're pretty sure you need to go this way in order to get to that road that you went that way on last night. And so they lead you pretty confidently is the word I want.
Well, that's good because I'm never paying attention really.
Okay.
Yeah, go in the direction that you're supposed to be in, obviously.
And off to your left, there are those cries. They're closer, but because you veered off this direction, they're still at least a few blocks away. Mine.
Oh my god.
Mine.
I'm gonna murder them. They're gonna die. They're gonna die. They're gonna die so slowly, and then I'm gonna eat them. They're gonna be fried and served with noodles.
And Lilith, you, the two of you are heading, leading the group pretty straight towards Helvetica's place, but you do come out onto, you exit one small street onto a somewhat larger street, and Lilith, you realize this is the intersection where that guy had been following you and Lyra last night. You don't see any sign of him standing outside the building he went into. The shades are drawn, but from here you just need to go that way, and like there's several blocks, but if you go straight away you'll essentially empty out into that small square where the chapel is that Helvetica lives in.
I figure if we know where we're going and it's no nonsense, no one's gonna bother us. So we just keep on trucking
Okay.
till we get there.
No one really gives the two of you many looks. Twiggy gets a lot of like, what kind of bird
Hello.
is that?
Hello, hi. Yes, it is me. Hello. Yes, yes. Behold. Yes, that's right. Thank you.
A lot of people just stare at you in kind of wonder or awe or what the heck. A couple people like make gestures that you're not really familiar with.
I'll return them as as is customary.
Absolutely. And then the three of you exit out into that small square. You see the chapel across the way. The door is closed, and you don't see any sign of the children out front or anything. It's a little early yet compared to when they arrived yesterday, when you all met them. Yeah. What do you do?
Enter.
Just
Kick the door in. Boom. Yeah.
You go over, you kick the door, it slowly opens.
It's unlocked.
okay. Yeah, head on in and check things out and announce ourselves. Hello. Is anyone here?
As you announce yourself, like up at the, is it the pulpit? Is the far end of the church? Up at the pulpit, there's just like stacks of things, and there's like the podium, but it doesn't look like it gets much use because there's just like books stacked on there, and like there's a taxidermied coyote that's like kind of like leaning haphazardly on these books, and Helvetica stands up and looks at you. Oh, thank goodness, I was so afraid something had happened to you. And she sets down like some papers that you can tell have like drawings on them in like charcoal, but it looks like drawings by fairly young people, or people such as myself that never got better than fairly young people at drawing.
I'm excited to see her, so I'll walk over and put my hand on her shoulder. They we're glad to be back.
Oh, none of that.
Then,
We're huggers here, and she leans in and like hugs you.
And then we tell her about our adventures, like everything, the truth about everything.
Gotcha.
Trying to, Dizzy and Twiggy trying to get in over the wall, and all the hoopla, and then where we ended up, and now that we're good, and ask her if she would like to join us.
Yeah, by the time you finish, like, she's sitting down on a pew and is just like staring at you and like, what? Your first day in the city and you've already had such an adventure. How amazing.
Oh, that is quite the standard for us. So,
And you told her that Lyra was still at the mansion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a lot to process. I'd be happy to help. I do have students coming, but I have an acquaintance. Miss Holmes, she has some renown as far as finding things in the city for people who have lost things. It could be that if we went and found her, she might be able to help.
We should absolutely talk to her.
The children are due to arrive within the hour. Do you want to wait until after their lessons, or?
Make it a lesson. It's a lesson.
I had a few questions that I wanted to ask you
Absolutely.
first. So do you know anything of the Jackalwares? I guess they're opposing faction to the shapeshifters that are already living here peacefully.
No, that doesn't sound familiar. from what you've said, it's a bit before my time. And I know, as you've seen, because you met the bartender who had a name, I'm pretty sure, but I
Right.
don't remember it. You met him, so obviously I know some of the shapeshifters in the city, but ones that look like dogs. No, I don't know any of them.
Yeah, well, they've been causing trouble for, I guess, the shapeshifters that are trying to live peacefully. Have you heard of anyone by the name of Fazzle?
Doesn't sound familiar, but I can ask around. What's everybody's passive perception? I feel like Lyra was the one with the high passive, but
Yeah, I think mine's 11? Yeah, mine's 11.
okay.
12.
12. Twiggy, during this conversation, what are you doing?
You said that there was a stuffed jackal?
Yeah. Oh, no, stuffed coyote.
Stuffed coyote. Well, that's interesting enough. I'll be taking a seat upon its head.
It is very musty. Like, it's very old. It is not holding up to time very well. However, it is stable enough for you to sit on.
Excellent. With taxidermy animals, I'm sure there's kind of like that little crook in the neck from the skull down. Just kind of a hammock over there inside in that little crook there. And
so as you're laying there, you notice the door slowly swings open, and there are several of those guards as the captain steps in and looks around. And he notices Helvetica speaking with Lilith and Dizzy and motions to the guards. At this point, everyone else hears their footsteps as they walk in, and Helvetica stands up and looks at him. Now, what's the meaning of this? And he says,
Pull up that letter.
Helvetica, this has nothing to do with you. This has to do with one of your guests here being seen fleeing from the site of a murder last night.
What?
Excuse me, sir. And he looks at Dizzy. If you'd please come peacefully with me, you're being charged with murder.
I'm not going anywhere. I haven't done anything.
And that's where we'll end this week's episode.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no.
Okay, well, any comments, questions, complaints, concerns?
before there's even the beginning of a charge, I mean, have they even doubled down with the diviners? Like, have they, like, even the evidence necessary? Like, get with it. Magic is the way.
Magic is the
wasn't
way.
him. It wasn't
Yeah.
him. Got no
Clearly.
proof.
Mm-mm.
All right, well, if you're watching live, tune in next time to see what happens with Dizzy's murder charges.
Murder.
Right. If you're watching on YouTube, well, join us on Wednesdays live at 2:30 p.m. Eastern as we journey through the mist. Oh. Thanks for watching today, and we will see you next week. Bye, everyone.
They just keep waiting.